Hello math learners! Welcome to another session here in Math Learning with Sir Ash. We have already discussed the two operations on polynomials, and we also discussed the law of exponent, which is a vital lesson in learning this topic for today, and that is all about multiplying polynomials. Now, in this video, you will learn how to multiply monomial to a polynomial and polynomial to a polynomial. But before anything else, hit the subscribe button and notification bell for you to be updated of these cool clear math videos just like this. Hello math learners! Welcome to another session here in Math Learning with Sir Ash. This is still your free access math teacher Ash, and today we're going to discuss the most essential learning competency-based lesson for quarter 2 of the grade 7 mathematics, which is all about multiplying polynomials. The question is, how do we multiply polynomials? Basically, in multiplying polynomials, you need to have a strong foundation on the law of exponents. If you could still remember, the law of exponents have 5 rules. The first one is the product rule. The second is the quotient rule. The third is the power rule, which has 2 sub-rules about the product to power rule and the quotient to power rule. And the fourth is the negative exponents rule. And last but not the least is the zero exponent rule. Now, how do we multiply polynomials? Basically, you need to consider 2 things in this topic. The first one is by the use of the distributive property, and the second one is the application of the law of exponents. Now, let us consider the first part. How do we multiply monomial to a polynomial? Okay, math learners, we have here some examples in which we could apply what we have learned in the law of exponent as well as how to multiply monomial to a polynomial. Now, let us have our first example. We have a monomial multiplied by a monomial. Remember that monomial is still part of the polynomial. Okay? So, how do we multiply this? This is an example of the product rule. Having the same base, what you will do is you copy the base and then you just add the exponents. 4 plus 7, and that is 11. So, the product of s to the 4th power times s to the 7th power is equal to s to the 11th power. Easy, right? Now, let's have the second example. We have 2 cubed to the power of 2. This is still another example in the law of exponent, and this is part of the power rule. Now, how do we do this? If ever you have a power-to-power example, what you need to do is you just copy the base and then multiply your exponents. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. Now, since this is a number, 2 to the power of 6, you can simplify that to a whole number. So, what is the answer of 2 to the 6th power? That is 2 times 2, 4 times 2, 8 times 2, 16 times 2, 32 times 2, 64. So, your final answer is 64. Easy, right? Now, let's go to the third example. We have the quantity 5n to the power of 3. Now, in this case, this is an example of the power to product rule. As you can see, this power outside the quantity will be distributed to the 5 and to the n. So, that will give you 5 cubed n cubed, because 5 here has an exponent of 1 and n here has an exponent of 1. So, by applying the power rule, you just multiply the exponents. However, 5 cubed can still be simplified since that is a number. So, 5 times 5 is 25 times 5, that will give you 125 n cubed. And that will be your final answer for the third example. Easy, right? Now, let us go to our fourth example. We have 2 times the quantity x minus 2. As you can see, x minus 2 here is a binomial, and 2 here is a monomial. Now, what you can do here is you just need to apply the distributive property. How do you apply the distributive property? If you could still remember your properties of inequality, if you have a times the quantity c plus d, the result of that will become ac plus AD, in which this A is being distributed. So that is how we apply our answer for this given problem. So 2 times x minus 2 will give us 2x minus 4. Because 2 times x is 2x and 2 times 2 is 4, and then we just copy the sign. Easy, right? Now, let us go to our second to the last example. We have b times the quantity b plus 5. So as you can see, this is just the same as the fourth example. But b times b here, we will apply our law of exponent, which is the product rule. So b times b will give us b squared. We will just copy our base and then add the exponent. Now, if you see a variable without a visible exponent, then the exponent of that variable is automatically 1. Okay? So there is a 1 here and there is also a 1 here, giving you 2. Now, b times 5, and that will be 5b. Since this is positive, you just copy the plus sign. Easy, right? Now, let us go to our last example for the monomial to polynomial exercises. 2c times the quantity c minus 3. So, by applying, we have 2c times c. That will give us 2c squared. Same concept as our second to the last example. 2c times negative 3, that will give you 6c. But the sign is minus. So that is how you can apply multiplying polynomials if you have a monomial multiplied to a polynomial. Easy, right? Now, let us go to the second half of our discussion. We will discuss now the polynomial times polynomial. Okay, math learners, we have here our examples for our polynomial times a polynomial. Now, when we say polynomial, we are expecting more terms, okay? But monomial is still considered as a polynomial. But in this part of the exercises, we will be dealing at least binomial multiplied to a trinomial or binomial times binomial. Okay, so for our first example, we have binomial times binomial. For the second example, we have binomial times trinomial. And for the third example, we have a binomial times to a trinomial. Now, my dear math learners, there are two ways to solve this one. The first one is by the use of the horizontal method, and the second one is by the use of the vertical method. Now, for the first two examples, I will show you how to use the horizontal method, and on the third example, I will show you how to use the vertical method. Okay, let's start. We have here the quantity m plus 3 times the quantity m minus 5. What you can do here is you just apply the distributive property. But in this case, you will distribute the first term to the two terms and then the second term to the two terms. Now, how do you apply that one? This is where we apply the popular acronym FOIL. F-O-I-L. F stands for the first terms, O stands for the outer terms, I stands for the inner terms, and L stands for the last terms. Okay. So, since we are applying the horizontal method, what you can do is you just apply the first terms. M times M, that will give you M squared. Then you apply the O, the outer terms. M times negative 5, that will give you negative 5M. Now we go to the inner terms. 3 times M, and that is positive 3M. And finally, we have the last terms. 3 times negative 5, that is negative 15. Question is, are we finished? My dear math learners, we are not yet finished in this scenario. Why? It's because in this scenario, we can see two terms that are like terms. If you encounter like terms in your answer, then you need to simplify that one. And you need to apply what you have learned in adding or subtracting polynomials. So, what we have here is the negative 5m and the 3m are like terms. So, we just copy the quadratic term, which is the m squared. The linear term, we have 2 here, okay? So, we have negative 5m plus 3m. That will give us negative 2m. And then, we just copy our constant term, that is negative 15. And that will be our final answer for this given problem. Easy, right? Now, let us go to our second example. We have the quantity x minus 2 times the quantity x squared minus 4x plus 2. What you can do here is you can still apply the distributive property. But in this case, we cannot apply the FOIL method because there is a middle term in this given example. Now, how do we do this one? Now, you can apply the distributive property. This x here will be multiplied to this 1. So, giving you x times x squared minus 4x plus 2. You got that? This x is multiplied to this whole. And then we have negative 2 multiply to this 3 terms again. So, we have negative 2 times x squared minus 4x plus 2. This is still in the horizontal method. Okay. So, now, you can apply the distributive property easily. So, we have x times x squared, that is x cubed. X times negative 4x, that will give you negative 4x squared. X times positive 2, that is positive 2x. Easy, right? Okay. Next, we have the second group. Negative 2 times x squared, that will give you negative 2x squared. Negative 2 times negative 4x, that will give you positive 8x. And then negative 2 times positive 2, that will give you negative 4. Now, what we will do here is you will simplify and combine like terms. So, we have here the cubic term, which is the only one in this given polynomial. So, we just copy that one. And then we have here our quadratic term. We also have a quadratic term here. So, they will be added with each other. So, negative 4x squared minus 2x squared. And that will give you negative 6x squared. And then we have 2x, which is the linear term. We also have another linear term here. So, 2x plus 8x, that will give you positive 10x. And finally, our constant term, which is a solo flight in this matter. So, that will be just copied in your given polynomial. So, you have now your final answer, which is x cubed minus 6x squared plus 10x minus 4. Easy, right? Now, let us go to our final example, and we will apply the vertical method. Now, in applying the vertical method, what you can do is you just write them vertically. So, since this has more terms than the first one, so I will write first the 2a squared plus a minus 4. And then, I will put this one, and I will write this below the linear term. I will align them. Okay. And then, I will multiply. Okay. So, now, how do you multiply this one? You just apply what you have learned in multiplying numbers. So, negative 1 times negative 4, positive 4. Negative 1 times positive a, that will give you negative a. Negative 1 times 2a squared, that will give you negative 2a squared. So, you are finished with your first term. Now, going here, we have a times negative 4, so that is negative 4a. So, since that is a linear term, you will align it to your linear term. That is negative 4a. We have here a times a, that will give you positive a squared. And we will align them here, so that is positive a squared. And finally, we have a times 2a squared, that will give us 2a cubed. And what we'll do is we just apply what we know in multiplying numbers. So, you bring down the positive 4, and then negative a plus negative 4a, that will give you negative 5a. And then we have here negative 2a plus a squared, that will give you negative a squared, because they are unlike signs. And finally, you just bring down 2a cubed. And this will be your final answer. 2a cubed minus a squared minus 5a plus 4. Easy, right? So, I hope you have learned how to multiply polynomials, my dear math learners. And now, this is the time that I will challenge you whether you have understood our topic, and here it is. Okay, math learners, I hope you have a wonderful time about our topic for today. This is still your free access math teacher, Ash. And always remember, it is fun to learn mathematics if we are together learning. If you do have some question about our topic, do not hesitate to put your inquiries in our comment section below. Thank you for subscribing, liking this video, and sharing this to your fellow friends, classmates, and schoolmates. Thank you, God bless, and keep safe always. Congratulations, math learners, for arriving to this part of the video. If you think that this video have helped you, click that like button. And if you think that this channel can change the way you see mathematics, do not forget to click that subscribe button and notification bell. Thank you.